This is Stories from Elsewhere, a place for strange, unexpected, and revealing tales from here and beyond.
What does it mean for us to go into space and confront the existential questions of who we are, what our purpose is, and what our future is? When you look up at the sky and you see the stars, and then you imagine yourself among the stars. This is where spirituality often meets science, and it's an exciting frontier that really has yet to be fully explored. This is Scott, and welcome to another Story from Elsewhere. I wrote this story thinking about the Artemis 2 mission and how its crew went further into space than any human beings in history, and what could happen to them in the time that they were behind the moon without contact with mission control. You go into space and come back changed, or you go into space and you may not come back at all. This is The Replacements.
What do you think they want? Said Allison, staring out the forward window. 15 brilliant white lights had flicked on around the Aura capsule as she prepared to initiate the translunar injection burn. They formed a semicircle around the capsule nose at equal distances from one another. From a semicircle, they became a triangle. From a triangle, a straight line. From a straight line, back to a semicircle. Maybe there are tour guides, Mark said. I've got errors, Kofi said, tapping his terminal screen. Under voltage warnings. SOC dropping fast. Try restarting. Check the power buses and switching units, Mark said, calm as he moved down his checklist of corrective actions. On restart, the keyboards became unresponsive. Then the CO2 scrubber alarm sounded. Feel that? Allison asked. The capsule rattled with a low vibration, as if they had started the injection process. It's not the ICPS firing, she said. Let's call it in. Mark cycled through all the transmission channels. Houston, Aura on Space to Ground 2. Houston. No response on any of them. Kofi joined Allison at the window. Well, should we broadcast some introductions? He asked. Like you've got our attention. Now, what can we do for you? And would you mind helping us get our scrubbers back online because we'd rather not suffocate up here? Let's try, Mark said, toggling on the pre-recorded greetings across all channels, numerical and language-based, all of which ended with a stream of dot-dash outer light patterns designed to convey harmonious intentions. Nothing at first. Mark resent them. Then, vibration. A brightening of the lights that encircled their module. The capsule began to accelerate upward and spin. Hold on to something, Mark urged. They all grabbed the nearest handhold as the Aura began tumbling toward the moon. 33 kilometers an hour, Allison said. At that rate, they would slam into the moon's surface, as opposed to being pulled around it by gravity. The 15 bright lights around the Aura flickered out one by one, like dying flares. When the last one went, so did all the lights inside the module. The pulsing beep of the CO2 alarms stopped. In darkness and silence, they somersaulted toward the surface of the moon, unable to do anything but hold on and hope. Mare Imbrium. The moon's surface filled the window, then darkness, a glimpse of blue from Earth, then the moon's surface, then darkness. They closed their eyes and prepared for impact. Allison thought about what might lie beyond it, ready physically for it, if not spiritually. But that transitional moment, what she expected to feel like a freeing burst of incredible peace and light, never came. After a while, they opened their eyes to discover they had stopped spinning and hung just above the dark plain of Mare Imbrium, the Sea of Rains, the largest Earth-facing crater on the moon, dark from the lava that had once coursed through it billions of years ago. "We stopped," Kofi whispered. "Look." He pointed to a sinking area in the center of Mare Imbrium, an area darkening to a deeper black, as if a hole had opened in the middle of it. Off-white moon dust spilled into that void. They felt the capsule resume its motion, slower this time, as they drifted down into the darkness. As it swallowed them, they all fell to the floor of the module. Gravity. Stronger than what they had trained for up there, as strong as they would feel it on Earth. Then a thud, followed by stillness. "We've landed," Allison said, breathing again. "And we're hatch up." Their only chance of getting out meant that the main hatch on top of the module could not be underneath them, pinned against the lunar surface. "Check your readouts," Mark said. They looked at their wrist interfaces. Oxygen levels, flow rates, and suit pressures all in the normal range. "Kofi, let's depressurize and open it," Mark said. They hesitated. "Now, please," he said. "Something could come down on us, we could roll over, the hatch would be under us." "We don't know their intent," Kofi said. "I'm with Mark," Allison said. "We're offline with no way to get off the surface. Might as well get out and have a look around." Kofi began venting the cabin air. There was no PSI feedback other than a low, fading rush. He waited a few seconds before rotating a handle on the hatch and pushing it outward. As the hatch swung out, they heard a metal-on-metal groan which startled them. Sound, air, atmosphere. They looked up into the blackness together as if deciding who should go first. "No stars or Earth," Allison said, staring up. "We're under the crater," Mark said. Mark turned on his helmet's LED lamps and pulled himself up through the open hatch. "What's up there?" Kofi asked. Better come see for yourself." Kofi went up, followed by Allison. They lowered themselves down beside Mark and stood there, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. The capsule rested on a floor of what looked like graphite or carbon fiber, a smooth ceiling 30 or 40 feet above them, seemingly made of the same material. The aura had been set down in the middle of a cavernous room, a hangar of some sort. Allison and Kofi's headlamps illuminated row after row of evenly spaced, waist-high metallic spheres with hieroglyphic-like symbols carved into them. "Don't take your helmets off," Mark warned. "Are they ours?" Kofi asked. "I don't think so," Mark said. "They don't match the ones I've seen." They slowly spread out among the rows. With her instinctual curiosity, Allison reached down to touch one of the spheres. "I wouldn't do that," Mark said, but her glove had already brushed against its surface. A bluish glow began to spill from tiny pinholes at the glyphic intersections and along the sphere's central seam. It then rose above them and hovered there. Allison retreated from it, backing up next to Kofi. "Nice one, Allie," he said. The other spheres started glowing blue, one by one, a domino effect sweeping down the rows. They rose above them as well. "I think we're being surveilled," Kofi whispered to her. She seemed distracted, looking down at the floor. "Hey, Kof, I'm having some trouble remembering what we did in the lead-up to the launch," Allison said. "It's like gray fuzz or static or something in my head. Nothing around it, no images, no I did this, then that, like a wall of it. Think back, do you remember?" He reached back to see. It only took a moment. The worry in his eyes answered her. I don't remember my kids' faces," Allison said. "I don't remember if I have kids. Do I, Kof? Do I have kids?" Kofi signaled Mark to come over. They all felt the same memory gaps, like chasms widening the more they tried to retrieve people, places, and things. Gray outlines of events and faces and conversations existed in place of the once rich tapestries of their lives. "Mark, what's happening?" Allison asked. "I don't know, Hey guys," Kofi said. He pointed to the far wall where the blue glow from the floating spheres revealed 3 dim figures. The figures began walking toward them. As they got closer, the Aura's crew could see white spacesuits just like theirs, identical, in fact, to theirs. As if on autopilot, the figures did not stop to greet them, but continued on toward the capsule. As they passed, Mark grabbed the arm of the one closest to him. It turned to face him. He found himself staring at his own face, eyes knowing, but empty, without the remotest sign of recognition or feeling. "We need you to let us go. Do not make this difficult." The thought formed in Mark's mind, sharp on all sides, stinging. He let go of his own arm, which was not his. Kofi and Allison felt the same directive in their minds, trying to shake it and remember their lives. "They're us and not us," Kofi said. "By design," Mark said. The stoic versions of Mark, Kofi, and Allison climbed into the capsule and closed the hatch. Some of the floating spheres drifted up around the Aura, their blue glow brightening, lifting it toward the ceiling, which retracted for its silent exit. Their replacements would finish the Aura's maneuver around the moon and slingshot back to Earth, stepping into lives that were not theirs upon re-entry. The collection. Empty of memory, the Aura crew huddled together on the graphite floor, deep beneath Mare Imbrium in the cold, dustless darkness. Helmets off, conserving their LED charges, waiting. Half the spheres had ascended and left with the capsule. The others had settled back into their rows, blue light gone. "They've erased us," Allison said. "Do you think they'll send someone to pick us up?" Kofi asked, hopeful. "No," Mark said, hugging his knees. "It's not that kind of collection." "And what kind is it?" asked Allison, standing up. "What do they want from us?" "Our amygdala quotients," Mark said. "Emotional reserves," Allison said, her stomach bottoming out as if someone had dropped her off a cliff. "The seat of the soul," waxed Kofi, not seeming to mind the idea. "Our emotional and spiritual breaths, the choreographed firings of our deep neural entrenchments." "Not sure they think of it like that, but maybe, yes," Mark said. "Sorry I didn't tell you." "Apology accepted," Kofi said, holding out his hand. Mark shook it, but loosely, with reluctance, guilt. "My family back in Adelaide would have disappeared. That's what they told me, at least, and, who am I to doubt their resolve? 10 engineers gone, vanished in the past year." He turned to Allison. "We've been dealing with these replacements a long time." "Why can't we remember anything about our lives?" Allison asked. "Is it so we come to them pristine, vessel-like, and they can fill us with anything they damn well please?" "Intelligent but empty," Kofi said. "Good instruments for their enrichment and pleasure." "This is what I know," Mark said, fighting through the fog of his memory to extract it. "They are ready with what will make us love, laugh, cry, and lash out in the purest forms. Ready to gather from us what evolution has deprived them of. There is no craft. There are no bodies. They are non-local, here around us as we sit and wait." "Sacrifices," Kofi said, blunt, dead in voice. Allison felt the reality of their insignificance, their disposability, and figured the swap indicated a kind of two-faced sensitivity to the human ecosystem. Like scooping fish from a pond in the middle of the night for dinner, hoping not to disturb the pond or worry the other fish. I guess the good thing is we are still so unique, special to them, Mark said, trying to cast it in a more positive light. And the Earth back there, it's a flawed, often uncivilized blue drop, a beautiful, irreplaceable turmoil, ever evolving. And if we resist? Allison asked. Mark stood up and looked at her with sadness and resignation in his eyes. Oh, I don't think we want to do that. Yeah? Why not? Because out of spite for making them struggle, they will not only still use us for what they need, but afterward redeposit our consciousness into a lower life form, subject to predatory suffering in the self-contained world of a short, painful life. The recycling tunnels, from what I hear, are already arranged in case. Allison fell to her knees, putting her face in her hands. Allie, hey, it's okay, Kofi said, resting his hand on her shoulder. He turned to Mark. Then this is what they'll find, Kofi said. A single granite block of emotion, an affected outburst at 11 in volume, consistent spectral blast, such that they can't get their proverbial amygdala screwdrivers in between. So loud and abrasive that they'll wish they came for anyone else. And the best candidate emotion for our spiritual clinging to what's human, the thing they can't understand. What is it, Mark? You know, don't you? Tell us, Allison said, eyes burning. Laughter, isn't it? Kofi said. I bet for some reason they have a hard time breaking through it to marionette our feelings. Mark was silent. Allison said she didn't remember much of anything now. It was all a gray blur, except for a few memories. One of a class she attended as a teenager in Sacramento, at first thinking it was ridiculous in its inauthenticity, the idea of having to force yourself to laugh. But soon the forced laughter turned real, because hearing others laugh, even if fake, triggers something in the brain to laugh at the laughing, like making fire with the idea of fire. And so it went, in the dark, prefabricated graphite cavern under Mare Imbrium. The marooned crew of the Aura, with nothing else to lose or gain and all their LEDs dead, proceeded to fabricate an emotional firewall of full-fledged belly laughter. As it echoed around them, all the leftover spheres began shedding orange light and vibrating on the ground. Agitated, it seemed. Allison sensed someone watching them through those spheres, a million or so light years away, not pleased at all about the state of their mind-wiped abductees. Some top-level collector, the controller, a force one might consider God, who ultimately would decide that the trouble of breaking through this adolescent-like behavior wasn't worth it. It would begin sorting through the options of lower creatures, rabbits, small birds, tiny geckos, and the like, to choose which one to flush them all down into. Then it would be on to retrieving the next set, more replacements, more cultivations, more amygdala quotients, until it could recreate that Precambrian garden of perfect, unencapsulated souls.
Thank you for listening. If you like that story, follow the podcast, bookmark the radio station, check out storiesfromelsewhere.com, and leave me a comment. It really inspires me to keep going. So until next time, I hope you keep dreaming, imagining, and pouring your creativity into the world. We need it. And we need your love of stories.
For more adventures into the unknown, subscribe to Stories from Elsewhere at storiesfromelsewhere.com. See you on the other side.